I was dumbfounded and sad to hear that that was happening. I think I try to live in Pollyanna world. So it's just really sad to know that these things are happening in Canada and elsewhere.
The very least we can do is pay attention to what's going on in the country and be awake and make sure that we vote for people that exemplify what we're all about.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou. And boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. She is the star of a brand new movie called The Puppeteers. And given that there is an important election happening in Canada right now, this is a timely conversation. I'm speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Amy Rivard. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you for having me. I so appreciate it.
My pleasure. So, Amy, tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Amy Rivard?
Well, if you want to go really far back, there's this thing called creation, but I don't know what your viewers are like here. Just kidding. Ba-dum-bum. So I was born in Chatham, Ontario, raised in Windsor, Ontario. I started doing musicals in high school, or no, actually in grade school and in high school. And then in university, I got a degree in musical theater, a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And from there, I went on and I toured with the show Riverdance. I was not a dancer. I was a singer. So don't ask me to dance. And then I toured the world with a number of shows, Celtic Woman. I was on Silver Sea, 6-star cruise lines performing. What else? I toured Canada with Camelot, the musical, and did some other shows in Toronto, did some indie film in Windsor, Ontario, where I'm from. And then I lived in New York for many years, and I was really focusing on my music career. I was singing jazz and pop at places like Tavern on the Green, the Hyatt Union Square, and COVID hit, and things, changed. Everybody, all of my friends started leaving New York, and I thought, I've been here a while. I think I'm going to go home back to Canada, just to be, around like friends, family, free healthcare. I mean, I know people complain because they have to wait a long time, but I'm telling you, I know we pay for it, but it's available to you. And I just, thought it was the right time to move back to Canada. And it's been so fabulous being in our country. There's something different and I love it. And I love New York too, but it's home. It's home. It's where I was raised. So.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
So you've had quite the illustrious career in
Thank you.
Entertainment as an actress. This is fantastic. So what made you decide to get involved with this latest project of yours, the movie, The Puppeteers?
Yes. So when I moved back to Toronto, my agent is fabulous. Yannick Landry, he sent me this audition. And I'll be honest, I almost didn't go because it was far away from where I live. I don't have a car. And I thought, oh my God, I got to go up there. How long is that going to take? I was like, get off your lazy butt, Amy, and go to this audition.
Nice.
And it was a really good lesson because I know a lot of time as actors, we're auditioning all the time. People don't realize that the time that goes into auditioning. I could do 15 auditions a week sometimes, and people don't realize, they're like, oh, you're a star, like you're a star overnight. No. We are auditioning all the time, and you don't get paid for the auditions. So did the audition. And, I think the best thing to do when you audition for something is forget about it. Don't remember you auditioned. People are like, how did it go? How did it go? You almost don't want to talk about it because then you're thinking, oh, I want it. So then my agent called or he emailed me and he's like, hey, you got the part. And I was like, what? This is amazing. Yeah. So absolutely amazing. when I was in New York, I was really focusing on writing my own music, getting it up on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff. So I hadn't been doing TV or film in a very long time. So as much as I was excited, I was also very nervous. So it was time to, I went to my coach and I was like, we gotta, I gotta prep for this. This is a major role and I need your help. So let's do the work. And the script, I mean, Kevin, they made such a wonderful script. It's so important what they've created. And I'll be honest, it was really educational for me because I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about. And I think a lot of Canadians don't know about, a lot of people in general. I've been getting, since it's been online, so many people have messaged me. And at the end of I don't want to give the film away, but these are based on true stories that have happened within Canada. And one of my friends, he texted me and he said, I can't believe that those things happened in Canada. And I was like, well, yeah, they did. And it's wonderful to see what the film is doing. It's really educating people on what's going on.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, before we get into the film, there's an election going on in Canada right now. And one of the candidates on the Liberal Party basically called out his opponent, who is a Chinese-born man running as a conservative here in Canada. He's a Canadian citizen. Mm-hmm. And said, hey, he's wanted by the Chinese Communist Party in Hong Kong, and there's $1 million bounty on his head. So, you could turn him in and get the $1 million bounty. And then he went, ha, 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 like this was some big joke. But it's not a joke. That's right. Completely inappropriate. It's a kind of BS that it is not cool or kosher in Canada. No. Yeah. And far too many Canadians don't realize how much foreign interference there is in Canadian society and Canadian politics, particularly by the Chinese Communist Party. And Justin Trudeau, before he became prime minister, was asked once, which form of government do you admire the most? And he said, China's basic dictatorship. So basically, he's an admirer of the Maoist government of China right now under the rule of the Chinese Communist Party. This is the same government that basically exterminated 100 million of its own citizens during the Cultural Revolution, the so-called Cultural Revolution, the so-called Great Leap Forward, which really were a massive genocide of Chinese people and Chinese citizens. So I think people need to wake up and smell the coffee. Mm-hmm. China is not a friend of the West. And China is here with a long-term vision to basically dominate the world. That's what I believe, and anyone who has eyes to see will very quickly realize that's their objective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the film, what the writers did was that they took actual news stories that happened within Canada and they wrote it into the film. So it's not done in like a documentary style. They made it similar to yep. Homeland. I'm playing a detective and I am investigating interference by the Chinese government within the Canadian government, and also to personal people and how they these people have come to Canada and they think they're free, but that there's still surveillance on them by the Chinese government. So we talk about those stories, and as I said, it's not fiction. I mean, the film is a fiction, but it's based on true events within Canada, and obviously probably happening everywhere, stories that we don't even know about.
Well, there is something utterly unbelievable to me, but the Chinese government has these secret police stations in major metropolitan cities in Canada, in the United States, that they run to surveil their own citizens and enemies of the Chinese Communist Party. You want to talk a bit about that and how that comes up in the work that you guys have done in this movie?
So that did happen. I'm sure some people did see it in the news this year. So our writers took that story, and we have that topic in the film. And we have one secret police station within the film that plays a central role in the film. So, and like I said, before I read this script, I was unaware of these things. I'm not glued to the news all the time like some people. So for me, it was an eye opener. It was a huge education for me. And like I said, a lot of people that I'm pointing over here because my phone is over here. A lot of people that have seen the film, I'm getting texts and they're like, "Oh, that's real. That happened in Canada." And I'm like, yeah, it did. I was dumbfounded and sad that to hear that that was happening. I think I try to live in a Pollyanna world, and so it's just really sad to know that these things are happening in Canada and elsewhere.
Well, I have a belief that everything that happens for me and not to me. And I
I
believe
love
God
that
has that
phrase.
intention, that God has that intention for every human being alive. Um, so this is happening for me to wake me up and to have me take a bold stand for freedom. I'm going to entitle this episode, What is Freedom? And to me, freedom is being able to stand up for your beliefs and to uh, make common cause with those who believe in what you believe. I believe in freedom. I've on my own show and on other shows, even though this is typically a business show and we talk about business topics, I believe that freedom is essential to successful business because without freedom, you can't have free expression. Without free expression, you can't have
Mhm.
free enterprise. And free
Mhm.
enterprise really is the basis of being able to run a business.
Right.
And so that's what this show is typically about, but we occasionally delve into political topics. And because the election is happening in Canada tomorrow, April 28th, by the time this episode is released, we may even know the results of the election.
Yeah.
But there is
Yeah.
a party here, the party of Justin Trudeau, the party of the man who said he admires China's basic dictatorship. They have basically allowed the Chinese Communist Party to establish these secret police stations in Canada, and they have not taken steps to eradicate these secret police stations. And many of their MPs are actually potentially Chinese Communist Party sympathizers at the very least, if not out and outright agents of the Chinese Communist Party. And this was exemplified by the candidate who said, "Hey, if you want to collect $1 million bounty, just turn in my opponent to the Chinese Communist Party." The fact that he said this and he's not in jail for saying it says everything to me about the type of government we currently have in charge of our federal government. And I'm wondering what your comments are on this, why you believe this movie is important, why you believe people should see it.
Well, as you were saying those things, I was like, yeah, we touch on these topics in the film. And just like speaking for myself, as I said, I was unaware of these things until I read the script and did the film. And then in the process, I mean, it was such an incredible crew of people. I mean, I want to say, because I think that's very important, the people that you work with, I want everyone to know that, you may see my face more in the film, but everyone, there were so many people that put this together that this
Mhm.
couldn't have happened without them. And I learned a lot from some of these people that have come from China. I learned their stories. And
Yeah.
so then knowing someone personally, not just knowing, okay, that's on the news, that happened to that person, but knowing this person who is next to me, who I could hold their hand and say, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't believe that you went through that. That makes, it's just really touches home. And it's so, don't want to say that we're naive, but we don't know about these things. If you're not within those communities, how would you know? If you weren't in those communities. So I was just my heart my heart was in pain to know that people are going through this, and my eyes were opened. And now, like I said, I think I can't remember. I looked this morning. I think 35,000 people have watched the film now. So they're seeing, what's going on, and I think people need to see these things. They need to know the truth.
Yeah, people do need to know the truth. Here in Canada, we need to wake up. I think the Great
Yeah,
Awakening in Canada is in the process of happening, and it's
yeah,
my fervent belief and hope that tomorrow in the election, The liberal government will get its comeuppance and be voted out of power, and the conservative government will come into power, and that this sort of shenanigan will no longer be tolerated by our great nation. Canada
And
is a
we are a
phenomenal
great nation.
country.
Yeah,
Pamela,
we are.
Canada's a phenomenal country. It
Yes.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
But we have allowed ourselves to be lulled into complacency, into a sleep of sorts that's allowed these cultural Marxists to take over our country's government and, frankly, to remake this society, this polity in ways that the people of the country don't agree with and don't want.
Yeah.
And this is very important. That's why movies like The Puppeteers are invaluable, because if they get a large audience, you can get 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people to see this movie. I think it'll wake a lot of people up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, freedom, I think sometimes we take our freedom for granted.
Yes.
And it's interesting. I haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale because it just sounds so horrifying, but how do we know that something like that won't actually happen? It's terrifying to think that. I don't even want to put that out there, but our freedom is such a gift, such a blessing, and we need to preserve that. I don't know what a better word to say that.
Freedom isn't free. Freedom isn't free.
Yeah.
Good men and some women have fought, bled, and died so that we get to enjoy the best blessings of liberty in this country and all over the West.
Yeah.
And those of us who've not had to go and fight in a war and shed blood and have our own blood shed, the very least we can do is pay attention to what's going on in the country and be awake and make sure that we vote for people that exemplify what we're all about, and not those who, in a cryptic fashion, hide who they really are and then bring forth a Marxist, fascist blend of crap and work to stealthily impose it on the rest of us. We get the government that we deserve, and the only way we deserve a good government is if we're awake and we vote for it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, we have one. It's such a gift that we can vote. It's such a gift that we can vote. But I think when we do vote, I think we need to really take a look and educate ourselves. I think, some people kind of just maybe go in blindly. I know I was probably guilty of that in the past. So I really think we need to educate ourselves, because voting is such a privilege.
Well, it's a right, really. It's a right. It's a right that we have as citizens. And honestly, those of us that live here need to just wake up. We just need to wake up that there is a malevolent global force out there. And if we don't wake up, it will very soon take over and destroy everything we hold dear. And then there'll be a time where, men and women will tell their children, hey, there was a time once in Canada where men were free.
Yeah.
But no longer. And God, that can't happen. And you guys are doing your part by making movies like The Puppeteers. And I'm doing my part by speaking out in favor of freedom and against tyranny every chance I get.
Thank you.
It's very, very important that these conversations be had. So, who's the director of the movie? How do people watch it? Who are some of the other stars? Tell us more about it.
Oh my gosh, so there's so many people. If you can watch it right now, I'm not sure when this will air, but right now it's streaming on Ganjing World for free on until April 29th. So I'm not sure if it's going to stop at the end of the day on the 29th or if it's the end of the day tomorrow, but you can watch it for free on that website. There's so many wonderful people in the film. Brian Law, he's Canadian, but from London. We've got Dennis Bale. He is also from London, and he plays a bad guy, and he plays a really good bad guy. Scott Neville, he plays my boss, John Dearborn. He is a tough boss, but he's a good boss. We've got Ryan Prashad. We've got Kaylee Panov, David Lucas, Chang. Oh my gosh. You know when you know people by their Instagram names instead of their real names? I'm so there's so many wonderful people. And that what one thing I loved about the film was it was so easy to make because everyone was fabulous. The cast, the crew, everybody, everybody was just so dedicated to the project. And it wasn't it for me, it wasn't an easy project to make because we shot a lot of scenes outside and it was cold. And I'm half Greek, so my blood is meant to be in the Mediterranean sun. So
Mm.
I was cold. So all the people made it so easy because everybody worked together as a team. And there was just it was a great vibe on set. We had fabulous extras too, all the extras. We had a lot of cops. We had and I'm giving it away, but I'm sure you assume there were cops in this film. Just such an incredible group of people. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Amy, we end every show by asking you, our guest expert, what are your top 3 pieces of life or business or success advice that you would give our listener in bullet point form? What say you?
Be aware of your thoughts. Your thoughts create things. Be aware of your thoughts and create what you want for yourself. Don't give up. I know it sounds cheesy, but don't give up. Especially if you're passionate about it. And if you're not passionate about it anymore, then give up. Then follow your passion. Always follow your passion. And if something is not your passion anymore, it's okay to let certain dreams die and follow a new passion. So many people I find that are stuck in jobs or careers that they hate, and it's just sucking their life vibe, their joy vibe. We're here on earth to have joy, so find something that is your passion. And lastly, always do your best. Always do your best. There's one of my favorite book actually. I recommend it to everybody. The Four Agreements.
Juan Miguel Ruiz. It's a great book.
Yes, I think everybody. That's what I think. My third thing is I think everybody should read that book. That's my third thing. Read the Four Agreements. You can find it anywhere. It's a quick read. You probably do it in an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm not even going to tell you what the Four Agreements are. You can also Google them, but that is my third thing. I want everyone to read the Four Agreements.
That's good. These are some good expert action steps. It's true. Thoughts do create things. It's very important to police your thoughts because if you allow yourself to have the wrong thoughts, you'll create the wrong things. Well, if you focus on the right things, you'll create the right things. It's so true. And I recently interviewed the great Brian Tracy on the podcast. He's one of the all-time great motivational authors who sold millions upon millions and millions of copies of his books. And that was one of the key points that came to me when I interviewed him. He said, be very careful where you put your attention. If you spend all your attention making plans for what you want, you'll get what you want. Yeah. If you focus on all the crap that you don't like, then you'll get more of that crap that you don't like.
Yeah.
It's that simple. People don't understand that. They just don't understand that. And I think it's a very good point that you just made that, you shouldn't give up unless you're truly done with something. And then if you're done with it, then give up. Yeah. Don't hold on to something that you really have no desire to do anymore out of a misplaced sense of I really shouldn't give up too soon. You shouldn't give up too soon. But if something's not for you anymore, you got to be honest about that. I think that's really, really true. And, do your best is good. And the Four Agreements is a wonderful book that I think every human being can benefit from reading.
Yeah.
Don Miguel Ruiz is a brilliant man. So great job.
Yes. Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah. Amy Rivard, a pleasure to have you here. Folks, we're going to put the link to the movie, The Puppeteers, in the show notes. And I'm sure that after the free period is over, there'll be other places you can find it. But it sounds like it's a fantastic movie and one well worth watching, especially if you're someone who wants to watch meaningful movies that are going to stir your soul and bring out the best in you. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to do. I believe we learn from art. We learn from story. We learn from fictional books. There's a lot of people in our industry that say, don't read fiction. I think that's a huge mistake. I think you should read a lot of fiction because you learn through the stories that are told in fiction. And obviously the same is true in movies. If you're watching good movies that are non-woke, that have a powerful message, you'll learn a ton from those as well. And I thank you for the work that you do, and thanks for coming on the show, Amy.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about this amazing guest, the one and only Amy Rivard, go to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or go to our website, amyrivard.com. Until next time, goodbye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.